Today on Montel, Living Well Wednesday. Plus,
I came up with what I call the Men Commandments.
the best rules for a successful relationship. That's what's coming up right now.
Stand by on the floor. 10 seconds.
You guys ready?
Stand by, VC-21.
Let's have some fun.
Ready, camera 6, ready, lights, ready, Montel.
Thank you so much for joining us today. You know, today is another one of our Living Well shows because it's Living Well Wednesday. And you know what that means. We're bringing you all the information that you can use to transform your life in 21 days, supercharge your health, and feel spectacular. And ensure that you do that and you live the best that you can. We're going to teach you today how to maximize your assets. So today is all about living well and maximizing your assets without using a lot of money. And I'm talking about learning ways to boost everything in your life, from your physical well-being to your mental health. And here to help us do this and lay out a blueprint is what I'm going to call my dream team of experts. I want you to take a look at this. Struggling with your job, your career, your life? Psychotherapist Dr. Perry is here to give you tips on building better relationships. No ifs, ands, or buts. Please welcome my Living Well dream team of doctors. Welcome Dr. Mitchell Perry. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. I'm excited about doing these shows, which are called Living Well, because I'm trying to make people better their lives and start thinking about looking at the better part of life than always being dogged down by things that they've come across. Dr. Perry, you do this. You teach people on a daily basis how to look for the silver lining, correct?
Indeed.
And what's the number one principle people should think about right now? Because look, we got all reasons to be depressed. We're in a war. Right. We're in an election year. We're in a recession. We're into this. We're into that. Every single day they come up with another reason for us to not like our lives. How do we see the forest through the trees?
First thing you have to remember is that what you radiate, you attract. People will treat you how you teach them to treat you. What that simply means is if people are paying a lot of attention to you, you're teaching them to do that. If people are upset with you, you're teaching them to do that. If people are failing to notice you, you're teaching them to do that. So at the end of the day, if what you radiate, you attract is true, which is true, then you have to decide, okay, what do you want to radiate in the first place? Which means that if you want people to show you more respect and more regard and have better quality relationships, then raise your standards and be friendlier and more warm and more outgoing and take more initiative, because what will happen is you will teach people how to treat you.
If you set it by example and you put it out there,
That's
people
right.
will come back to you that way. So
That's
if you
right.
show yourself, walk around respecting yourself,
That's right.
you will get respect back.
Have you noticed, for example, that people who are highly suspicious get betrayed a lot?
Correct. Always looking for somebody's always picking on me.
Exactly right. Have you ever noticed, if I'm afraid you won't like me, how fortunate I already dislike you?
More antidepressant drugs are sold in the last 5 years than any other medication out there.
That's exactly right.
More foodie, that's right. We are rampant with
We're
obesity and
medicating
type
with
2
food,
diabetes.
and you have to remember what depression really is, which is the most popular problem out there. For garden variety depression, as opposed to clinical depression, which is depression with a capital D. But for garden variety depression, depression is essentially the following. The person is ill-equipped to reconcile the gap between how you think life should be and how life is. And when that gap is too wide, then you get anxious, you get depressed, you start medicating with food, you do all kinds of things because you keep thinking, well, it should be like this, but it's like this, and I'm unwilling to acknowledge the way it is, and so you do all kinds of compensating things.
But Doc, that's going on right now in our society, I believe, because I'm going to go out of here this afternoon, go home and cut on my TV. As soon as I walk in the front door of my apartment and I cut on the television, I'm going to see somebody dead on the street somewhere in America. Then after that death on the street, I'm going to talk about the fact that 7 more soldiers died.
You should go home and have sex.
That's the answer to the question.
Skip the TV.
Heck with that. That's all I'm saying.
And then rub this stuff on you.
Rub that on,
That's right.
and we're having a lot of sex.
That's right.
But truthfully now, I mean, most people are walking around in our society and they don't even understand how much these externals are playing on us every day. When you start hearing the fact that right now we're afraid we're going to slip into a recession in the next 3 or 4 years, everybody starts worrying about their own personal money problems, even if they don't have any. You start saying that, you know, we keep talking about the fact that we've done nothing for Katrina. Everybody's worried about the next big storm.
And remember, in the media, if it bleeds, it leads. So if you get continually exposed to this kind of stuff, you start thinking, gee, there's something wrong.
My name is David and I'm 36. My girlfriend and I often misunderstand each other quite a lot. What can I do to be a better communicator?
Wow, that's a question for you, Dr. Perry. What do you think?
I think it's the omnipresent problem. The reality is that most of you, if you're happy, you're largely having some kind of a good, close relationship with people that matter. And if you're unhappy, your relationships are working poorly. Am I correct on this?
Yeah,
Yep. Have you also noticed that if you're a woman, you'll notice that very often you'll be talking to the guy with whom you're involved, and you'll say some form of, he just doesn't get it. Here's the deal. Okay. Men and women today are having more trouble getting along with each other than ever. My experience is that women have now, in the last 30 years, achieved more education, more power, more money, more equality, more parity than ever before. And women, as a result of that, have an enormously high series of expectations of what they're looking for in men. The reality is that there's a direct connection between the degree to which so many men today get so little respect from women and the fact that those very men have so little self-respect.
We see that manifest medically all the time, and one of the most common things that I take care of are men who are upset and are in these sort of unequal relationships, and like you said, it's a new thing for a lot of men.
Yes.
And the most common manifestation that I see is men who are just not able to achieve erections and have relationships anymore.
They've lost their ability to have strong libido because they don't feel like men. So what I did is I came up with what I call the Men Commandments, which are 10 things that men can do that can improve their self-respect, their responsibility, their character, their strength, and when that happens, then they get a lot more respect from women. And I've also come up with a bunch of ideas of what women can do to help their men achieve that very sense of power and self-respect.
Let's also get to the bottom line. Once a man walks around being a little bit more empowered, it will make the relationship better. And if both sides, since we already know that women are feeling more empowered, both sides are feeling empowered, people feel equal rather than one over the other. All right, let me take a break. We'll be back right after this. So, Doc, if you can give me, I know, look, I got to make sure everybody understands that it's all the information in a book called The Road to Optimism by Dr. Mitchell Perry, J. Mitchell Perry, but you can give us a couple of tips right now. What are some of those tips?
First thing that I recommend that men do is do something that's very counterintuitive to what they're used to doing. For example, when you're unhappy with your man, have you noticed you generally want him to enjoy your unhappiness with you? Now, you'll notice when you're unhappy with your man, you want to point it out. You'll notice what he does is one of two things. He either withdraws or he just over-accommodates. If he over-accommodates, says, okay, I'll get out of the line of fire, fine. You'll notice, either way, you dislike that. If he withdraws, it feels like rejection, and if he over-accommodates, you just beat him up because he feels like he's an over-accommodator. He's kind of a wimp, right? Right. So what I always say to the man is, look, when your woman is complaining about something, your best bet is to do two things. One is you scoop her. And you may say, what's that? And that means, notice, when you're cranky, often what you really want is you want your man to come up and hold you. Now, you'll notice when he begins to hold you, you're going to do this to make sure that he hangs on, right? Now, I've said that to lots of men. I'll say, look, when she's really getting really cranky, you go up and hold her. And he says, are you crazy? I'm absolutely serious. Would that work? Yes. Okay.
Absolutely. Look, the book is called The Road to Optimism. You can get a copy of it right now in a bookstore. I'm out of time. Great tips. You can find either book on Amazon.com or in bookstores near you. Again, I want to say thank you to all of you for listening.